think this is a great opportunity to bring us all together to kick off the athletic and academic year. While each of us may individually be on various points of our career, whether you're in junior high or you're in high school, we share one thing in common, and that is that we represent the Cadott Community School District. I hope that each of you feels an immense amount of pride in knowing that and in saying that. So to get started here tonight, we're first going to highlight some of our athletic achievements from last school year. And please, I just ask that you hold your applause till the end. So after beating conference leader Spring Valley in the regular season finale, football secured a playoff berth for the first time in 16 years. Boys cross country produced an individual state qualifier for the first time since 2008. Golf claimed a Division III regional championship. Softball was crowned regional champions for the first time since 1984. Wrestling claimed the Clover Belt Conference championship, regional championship, produced 4 individual conference champions, 6 individual regional champions, 4 individual sectional champions, 7 state qualifiers, and 2 state champions. Overall, we had 29 student athletes that received all conference accolades, 99 student athletes that received academic achievement awards, and 3 graduating student athletes with plans to compete at the collegiate level. Let's give those individuals and teams a round of applause. There are great things to come for Cadott Athletics. In order to do so, we need to continue to build on these successes and put in the hard work and dedication needed to achieve this greatness. I'm excited to be part of this transformational journey with you. All right, the first thing we're going to get over before we get into the extracurricular handbook is the required documents for participation. Many of you were handing those in as you entered tonight. If you did not have an opportunity to check in with us at the front desk before the meeting, please do so before you leave tonight, as well as handing in any required documents you may have. So you would have received email correspondence with listing all of these items. The extracurricular handbook, which has been updated this year, also includes the WIA code that is included at the back of that form, and other athletic forms. That is a Google document for both you as a parent and you as a student athlete to sign and agree to. There is a physical card or alternate card that is needed annually, so depending on when you had your physical, you may need the alternate card or a new physical for participation. The state of Wisconsin has also provided us with an updated concussion and sudden cardiac information and agreement form, which is to be completed. For some select sports, we have an impact form, which is needed for participation. This includes junior high football, wrestling, high school football and wrestling, and then only the high school levels for volleyball, basketball, baseball, and softball. This form needs to be completed. In addition to that, we also do impact baseline testing with these particular teams. So if you do participate in multiple sports that require this, it's just one test per year. So we will actually be emailing out tomorrow a link for you to complete this testing online. In the past, we've only done this in person at the school, but if you have internet access or a computer, this will give you the ability to do it at home at your convenience. We ask if you, especially if you're a football player starting practices tomorrow, that you do so before practice. If you are unable to do it online at home, we will have our business education room or room 220 open tomorrow from 8 a.m. to noon for you to come in and do the testing with me. That room is formerly Mr. Jar's room. So you would just enter through door 5E, which is the athletic administration office area, and then enter that classroom from there. If you have any questions regarding these forms, you can email Heather Hoyt at the email address that's provided there for you. All right, so to get into the extracurricular handbook, as I mentioned earlier, we have updated it from what it has previously looked like. it's just more clearly outlined what the expectations are for each of our athletes, what our roles are, responsibilities are, and not just as athletes, but as parents as well. So some important things that I want to highlight from that is our philosophy. As outlined in the handbook, the school district of the Karat community recognizes extracurricular activities as an integral part of the total education process. Through participation in sport and activity programs, we believe that students develop important qualities as it relates to teamwork, perseverance, communication, work ethic, goal setting, sportsmanship, and working with others to achieve a common goal. It is our mission to educate, serve, and grow these individuals. It is important that we understand that your participation is voluntary, but it comes with great responsibility. You are representing something greater than yourself. You are representing your teammates, you are representing your school district, and you are representing the entire CAD community when you are participating in athletics. That includes both during the school day while you're in school, amongst your peers, while you're in classrooms with our teachers, when we are visiting the elementary school and you have hundreds of kids that look up to you and aspire to be you one day, and when we are traveling to other towns and competing in competitions against various schools that surround us. The Extracurricular Handbook has been updated to clearly outline the requirements for extracurricular participation, define the responsibilities of students, parents, coaches, advisors, and establish the expectations for student conduct while representing the Cadott Community School District. All right, so it is important that all students understand that they are a student first. You must maintain a certain academic standard throughout the year in order to continue your participation within a sport and remain eligible. So I have here a graph that outlines for you the important quarter end dates in which we review your grades and determine if you are academically eligible for participation. If you are receiving a failing grade, which is defined by an F or a 59% or below, you would be ineligible for a period of time. If you receive it incomplete, you will also be ineligible until you establish that you are receiving a passing grade in said course. A passing grade is defined as a D minus, a 60% or above. So on the right-hand side, you can see possible dates in which you would be academically ineligible. It does require you to sit out for 15 school days. So in the instance with the November 4th date, that ineligibility period falls, it looks like it falls like over a lot of calendar dates, and that's because we are out for Thanksgiving break during that time. So just to be mindful of that as you are participating in sports, it is important to keep your grades up throughout the year so that you don't miss opportunities to compete with your teammates, and especially compete during games, during crucial times when playoffs might be involved. During your ineligibility period, students are expected to attend practices and meetings during that time. Also, you will not be allowed to miss any class time if we are traveling to an away game and there is an early dismissal. You would not be able to travel with the team to that game unless you were able to find a different way to get there, and you would not be able to dress for home or away competitions. In addition to academic eligibility, attendance and suspensions may also impact your ability to participate in competition. So attendance requires you to be in school for a full and complete day in order to practice or compete. Some things are not acceptable for allowing you to miss a portion of the day or all of the day and then go to practice are illness or returning late from a competition the night prior. If you are out for any of these reasons for any portion of the day, it is probably in your best interest to miss practice or a game that day. So that is why that rule is in place. Exceptions are possible if you have a medical or doctor's appointment. We would just need an accompanying doctor note. If you have a family emergency, we understand that things do come up. You would just need to have a discussion with me prior to returning to competition or practice. And then parent requests, which would require pre-approval before you would have any absence from the school. And that is also outlined in the student handbook that has been updated for this year. Suspensions will also take you out of competition or practice. This includes in-school suspension. So, if you're in school suspension for a portion or all of the day, whatever activities are taking place on that day, you would not be able to participate in, but you'd be expected to attend. Out-of-school suspensions will remove an athlete from practice or events for the entire duration of that suspension, and daily detentions must be served prior to participating in practice or competition. And then on the flip side, if you are in school the entire day, but you have to miss practice at night for a given reason, that doesn't have to come through our office necessarily, but you do need to have communication with your coaches about that. Practice attendance is mandatory unless it is excused by the coach. If you do miss practice without that prior approval from them, there may be consequences that are left to the discretion of the coach. Within the handbook, we focus on two main code violations. So one of them being substance violations. That is outlined within the handbook as stating, a student shall not possess, buy, sell a beverage containing alcohol, any form of tobacco or nicotine, vaping equipment, controlled substances, street drugs, use of anabolic or androgenic steroids, and other performance-enhancing substances as defined by the WIAA. Over-the-counter medication must be used as directed or intended. Look-alike substances are included under all provisions. Additionally, it goes on to state, attendance at gatherings where alcohol or other illegal substances are present, regardless of use, without leaving said premises within a reasonable time is a violation of this code. So after it speaks about these substance violations, it then goes on to explain what your consequences are for each violation at each level, and then you would progress if there are multiple violations. Just so you are aware, the first violation, the consequence is missing 20% of competition from your sport season. The next code violation that it talks in detail about is conduct violations. Participants are representatives of our school and community and are expected to display the highest standards of social behavior, sportsmanship, and respect for those in authority, including teachers, coaches, advisors, administrators, officials, and other school personnel, as well as fellow participants and competitors. Any conduct by a student that brings negative attention to individuals, school, or community may be deemed as a violation of the extracurricular code. Some conduct violations that may result from suspensions within school, conduct unbecoming. This may include, but is not limited to, illegal activities inside or outside of school, use of abusive or offensive language during activities, destruction of property, any acts in violation of school policies, or the student's willful disobedience or disregard for rules established by the school district or coach advisor of a particular sport or activity program. And last thing is civil or criminal infractions. Just like with the substance violations, it goes on and it outlines a progression of first violation, second violation, and what the consequences are for those. In both situations, if there is self-referral or self-admission by the student of any of these violations, that may result in a penalty reduction. The handbook outlines the process for substance and code violations should you wish to appeal any decision made by the school. I think it's also extremely important for me to note that this handbook is not a handbook that is 9 months long during the school year. It is not a handbook that only applies to you when you are in sport. This is a 12-month handbook, so even if you are out of season, you could still have a code violation that requires you to sit out when you eventually do participate in sports after that. It is the expectation that all student athletes, parents, and guardians read through the extracurricular handbook in its entirety. So please take the time to do that if you have not already done so within the forms that are required for your participation. All right, the next piece we're going to go over is athletic training services. I have listed here a number and email that we can provide you should you need to get in contact with somebody. But just so you know that they do provide these services with us during the school day and at athletic events. So we, as a Cadott Community School District, partner with Chippewa Valley Orthopedics to provide coverage during those times. Athletic trainer visits happen twice during the week on Mondays and Thursdays, and this allows you to see an athletic trainer if it's a result of injury within your practices or competitions, when you're in season, when you're out of season. This is year round, so take advantage of this whenever you feel like you need consultation or you have an injury that you want to get looked at further. It is the student's responsibility to sign themselves up within the high school office to be seen by the athletic trainer. Please do not expect us to just know that you need to see somebody. Coaches are required to fill out an incident report should something happen in practice or competition, but it's just always good to make sure that you're also advocating for yourself and that we are getting the requests in as needed. Event coverage happens at most of our varsity contact sporting events. Our athletic trainers will arrive 45 minutes prior to these events starting and stay throughout the duration of the game or competition. They are also here quite often when we hold large invitationals, like a volleyball invitational on a Saturday or a wrestling invitational. They will be there throughout the entire day. So both visiting team and home team can go up to them if they need to address any issues they might have. This is our athletic training team. You'll see here Morgan Perry. She's probably the most familiar face to most of you. She is at probably 80% of our events. And then Julie Peterson, who we have at the bottom here, and Sydney have filled in a lot for us. But these will be the familiar faces you see. I can also point you in the right direction if you need attention by one of our athletic trainers. All right, next we're going to move on to our strength and conditioning program. So, as many of you know, we hired a new strength and conditioning coordinator this past year. His name is Coach Wiesner. He joined us in June. And he has been nothing short of awesome. He has provided us, our student athletes, all of the summer programming. He will continue to provide programming for our athletes during the school day, during the school year, which is an awesome opportunity for our kids and our coaches within their athletic programs to really lean on Jason for his expertise. There is a why behind, he really explains the why behind everything he's doing in the weight room. And everything that they do is with intention. So at this time, I'd like to invite up Coach Wiesner.
Hello, everybody. A lot of new faces in here, obviously, but huge hats off to the 30 to 40 kids that we've had working their butts off all summer. It's been a lot of fun. As Mrs. Crank or Aaron has just discussed, I'm huge about education, so empowerment, but through education. So I want people to know what they're doing, why they're doing it, and as much as I care about the Hornets winning championships, I also care about what these students are doing after. You know, most of us can probably relate to some form of health obstacles as we age without the tools to conquer that. Whether that's working out, whether that's nutrition, whether that's working on your breath work, stuff like that all of the people that have been there all summer know all about. So again, I'm looking to empower students through education. I use 6 foundation principles that we haven't got to chat about a lot this summer because it's a little bit chaotic in the summer. But we look at what we eat, what we drink, how we're sleeping, how we're thinking, how we're breathing, and then most importantly, what most people come to me for is the movement portion of things. But again, quality above everything else, and just really preach personal responsibility. So, you know, the athlete that you are, the person that you are, taking full ownership of everything that you do on and off the field, and you know, not being disappointed about results that you don't get from the work that you don't put in. If that makes sense to everybody. So that's what I preach in every aspect of my life, from my 9-month-old all the way up to my 80-year-old clients that I've worked with. And that's what I plan to do with all the students here. I am an open book, so I will lay out a program. I will give you accessory work based on your sport. But if you have anything that you have questions on, come to me and I'll probably give you too much information. But I look forward to meeting all of you. And I do want to warn you, It sounds weird, but I'm an identical twin. If you're in Eau Claire and you're waving at me and I'm not waving back, I'm not being an a-hole. I've got a twin brother. Okay? So it's so just be careful of that. That's all I really got to say. I'm super excited to be part of this with Mrs. Crank and Mr. Hunt and all the coaches that I've met so far. I'm super excited to be here and can't wait to see what the future brings for the Hornets. So, thank you.
To our individual sports meetings. So in addition to the required paperwork, you also need to sign yourself up or sign your child up to participate in fall sports. So there is a fall sports sign up on our athletics page, which I'll show you in a minute how to get to. Just make sure you do that, and then you'll be included on future correspondence regarding what paperwork you've gotten in, or if you're cleared to practice. The impact testing, reminder, we will send an email for people to do it from home tomorrow. Otherwise, you can come into school and just enter through door 5E to access the business education room, and I will do it with you from 8 a.m. to noon. Athletics calendar. So I think it's so important that you guys just have a good understanding of how to understand when you have games scheduled throughout the year. So this is just a place that you can go to see calendars as they're created. So as I make changes as the athletic director, if games are canceled, postponed, if game times change, everything gets updated on this calendar. Alright, so if you just go to the Cadot main page and you go to activities, and under the activities tab, we have the athletic and extracurricular materials. So you can click there. There's a fall sports sign up that you can go to, information about tonight, and then all the extracurricular materials needed. If you go to athletics calendar, it then brings you to this page, which immediately goes on the current day we're on, shows things that were scheduled throughout the day. So this is mainly athletics, so it will include game schedules. It'll also include if gym space is reserved. So a lot of people will go here if they want to request gym space to see if something is pre-planned in there. But if you want to look at particular game schedules, if you go to view schedules on the bottom right here and scroll down, let's just say varsity football, and you want to view that schedule, you just click on varsity football varsity, hit view, and it will bring up the schedule for the season. If you're a visual person like I am, you can also put this in a month view and see what that schedule looks like. All the yellow are home games, all the black are away games, and yes, we do play a varsity football game on a Thursday night this year. If you want to look at a few schedules combined, you have the ability to do that if you have kids that are in multiple sports. It's just a good place to go to check things out. But that is a great tool that I advise everybody to go to just check out availability or what changes might happen during the year to your schedules. So that should be about everything. If you did not get an opportunity to check in with myself or Heather as you entered the building, please do so before you leave. Right now, though, we're going to go to our individual sports meetings or give you an opportunity to meet some of our spring and winter sport coaches. So just to let everybody know where you are positioned, we're going to have football stay in Gym 1 for their meeting. That will include junior high and high school. Junior high and high school volleyball are going to go to the auditorium. Junior high and high school cross country are going to go to Gym 2. They're going to go to the far wall by the Hornet. You can sit on the bleachers. And then all other spring and winter sports are going to have their head coaches in Gym 2 as well. There's like a sign with the sport name, and then the coach will be right underneath of it for you to just meet them, ask any questions you might have. Myself and Heather will be positioned in the commons for the next little bit here, checking people in and answering any questions you might have, taking any required paperwork. Thank you all so much for attending.